Good morning and welcome to another great episode of Enterprise Friday, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike.
And I'm Choma Okohe.
All right, we'll be heading straight to our newspaper headlines for today, and right after that will be our main conversation also. While we'll get everything all sorted out for you, please do well to be part of our community. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. We have today joining us from Lagos, of course, virtually, is Olajumoke Olawode James. Good morning. Thank you so very much for your time.
Good morning, Jumoke.
Excellent morning, Mary. Excellent morning, Chioma. And Oga Emeka, excellent morning to you, sir.
Yeah, I love my heart. Thank God it's Friday.
All right, and also we have Emeka Madunago. Thank you, Emeka, for
Thank you
always
very much. My pleasure.
being
Good
around.
morning.
All right, so let's start off today. Newspaper headlines that is, and we're starting off with the Force Daily.
Yeah, I was starting off with the Vanguard newspaper, and we're starting from the top strip. OPEC extends Nigeria's 1.5 million barrel per day oil quota to 2026.
And also we have the big story here, tax reform bill. So Akpabio overrules Barao.
Okay, moving on, Boko Haram, 10,000 people die in military custody, Amnesty International reports.
Yes, and also we have a 2027 Jonathan's posters with new political platform flawed Kano.
Okay, moving on, still on the top strip on privatization. Privatization of power sector, total failure. That is coming from the Senate.
And also 4 Labour Party representatives decamp to the APC.
Okay, let's look at our main topic of discussion.
Farotimi.
Farotimi activist group plan nationwide protest December 10. Yeah. Starting with you, Olajumoke. Is this the best way to go? Maybe those in power would listen rather, and they would actually do the right thing, because activists group plan nationwide protest come December 10. And just yesterday on Amazon, it was revealed and it was stated that his book is now the bestseller. Would we say this is bringing about a revolution in Nigeria?
Well, starting with the book being a bestseller on Amazon,
yes.
You guys have the saying, slap me and I become rich. The oppressed like to stand with the oppressed. You know, the masses will stand for the masses. Fortunately, also, all of the proceeds of this book by senior lawyer Daily Farotimi is also going to several NGOs for children, autistic children, children with special needs. So he's not actually getting rich. Some children are just getting funded from all of us revolting. You ask the question, Chioma, if this is a revolution. It's a revolution of some sort. And, you know, in a democratic setting, these are the kinds of protests that we can have. Aside from asking for his immediate release. So, after Babalola has a right, you know, to file a lawsuit that he's been defamed in Daily Farotimi's book. He does have a right to that. But the way he was abducted, and just a day before, Daily had predicted all of these things, and he still went ahead, you know, to carry out his arrest, abduction, Gestapo style. You know, he had claimed that they were, you know, filing the suit behind him. So how do you ask him to answer to an invitation that he really wasn't there? Well, coming back to it, is this a revolution, or can it lead to a revolution? We saw how the end bad governance protests in Nigeria went, where underage children were arrested and detained, where there was a clampdown, where government aides were telling the presidency that the protest was to oust them. Rather than these people are hungry. And then you saw those children who had been detained for over 43 years brought to court. They were fainting in court, absolutely hungry. So we know that protests may seem not to have the kinds of results that we expect in light of instruments available to us. And I absolutely agree that if we keep on mounting pressure and embarrassing the government, embarrassing everyone involved in this matter by online protest and also physically coming out on the street. They do not have a choice but to listen.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much.
Emeka, apart from having the protest at the chambers of Afe Babalola, it also would be done in Abuja, in Ekiti State, but most importantly in King's College, London. Now, given the reputation of this great man, do you think he is thinking about some of these things as we speak?
Well, he's a great man, no doubt, great lawyer. But no human being is God. You only know how you begin a matter. You don't know how it might end. That is why, we, in the media, we urge caution. Dele Farotimi has told you that he prefers his grave to his bed. And he has written the book and told you he's ready to die. The worst you can do to Dele Farotimi is to sentence him to... you know what? The maximum is 3 years imprisonment. Between 1 and 3 years imprisonment, depending on how the case goes. The worst case scenario, you can't sentence him to life. You can't sentence him to death. The worst case scenario, if, let's say, his lawyers cannot mount justification, he cannot prove justification, cannot prove truth as a defense, the worst that can happen is 3 years imprisonment. Between 1 and 3 years imprisonment. So at the end of the day, has justice been served in the case? The answer is no. The man will tell you, when this one is done, you can send me to jail again. Has justice been done? So that's why I advise. You see some people who are just, how will I put it? They don't understand the sociological implications of some of these things. They just take one side. Hey, Chief Afe Babalola is this. Nobody has said Chief Afe Babalola is a small person. Nobody has said he doesn't have a right to sue if he feels he has been defamed. But you see, just like the issue of impeachment, impeaching a governor or a deputy governor, there's a difference between the process and the procedure. The process is, the procedure is clear. But the process you take, on the path to carrying out the procedure is where the law will judge you. And what's the procedure here? The procedure is that, yes, you have to prove your claim as a civil defamation. Then, as an offshoot, the court might grant you leave to prove the criminal intent. The criminal intent cannot stand before the civil, the civil claim. So, what if the court doesn't see anything criminal in it? The prosecutor already said, Dele Farotimi is a threat to national security. Now, broadening the thing without thinking of the implications. Because one, Chief Afe Babalola is not a government official. So there's nothing to do with national security in it. The fact that they mentioned the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court itself had excoriated Chief Afe Babalola. It had actually, cautioned him and another senior lawyer concerning one case that appeared before the Supreme Court.
Before now.
Before now. So, when you put everything together, to me, like I was saying this morning, and somebody came on Facebook and said, one problem with some of you is you read with tinted glasses. You don't broaden your mind. And that is where the problem is. When Dr. Olu Onogoruwa joined Abacha's government as Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Chief Gani Fawehinmi cut ties with him, lambasted him. Dr. Olu Onogoruwa now wrote a book, castigated Chief Gani Fawehinmi. Chief Gani Fawehinmi didn't go to court. What he did was he now wrote a book, The Lies and Lies of Dr. Olu Onogoruwa. So, as people were looking for for Dr. Olu Onogoruwa's book, they were also buying Chief Gani Fawehinmi's book. So they put the two of them together, and like we say in the media, we allow you to make up your mind. Ours is just to present the facts. You make up your mind. Then somebody said no, that some other lawyers were mentioned. I said, look, I never told you they don't have a right to sue. What I'm saying is this: one, Chief Afebolola doesn't need to use the police to arrest Dele Farotimi. He doesn't need. The law is wide enough. That is why you also have issue out of court settlement. That's why you have alternative dispute resolution. That's why you have arbitration. That is why even in a divorce case, husband and wife are abusing each other in court, ready to exchange blows, right? The court also gives provision for possibility of settlement, gives them 7 years at the most. If possible, something might happen within that. Maybe their children or some factors might bring them back together. You saw the case of one couple now that were going to court for divorce, and they were putting on, and co. And the interesting thing, the woman was pregnant along there. So the judge said, "What am I?" The pregnancy has shown that the divorce is unnecessary. So what I'm saying is that we are human beings. Yes, Chief Afebolola feels rightly defamed, but for me, I'm not happy, I'm not comfortable with having to use the police to go and abduct Dele Farotimi. Because at the end of the day, Chief Afebolola is an icon in Nigeria. So you have to be very careful. Like some people have said, some informed person have said, that you should have just ignored the matter. You should have just let it lie. Maybe issued a statement, he would have given his own side and left it for posterity to judge. See, posterity is a big judge. Whatever we do, posterity will always judge. But when you decide to fight, ask yourself, who stands the risk of losing more? Be very careful fighting a man who has nothing to lose.
Obviously.
Because let me just add something quickly, I'm sorry. Remember IG Wala, a journalist, who claimed that one, a head of National Hajj Commission, that he stole some money, blah, 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 blah. He was taken to court. He was jailed. Do you know what? Within a few months, President Muhammadu Buhari granted pardon to 2,600 inmates. And somebody put IG Wala's name there. He was granted pardon. So in the eyes of the law, he's not a convict. He's a free man. C'est fini.
Okay, let's thank you so much, Emeka Badinago-Ajiboke, for that detailed analysis.
I would have loved that we continue because this is looking very, very interesting.
Very interesting, but we'll have to go into all that data, that's why. Okay, the next on our list.
Before we quickly move,
yes, please.
I wanted to say that Babalola still wanted to prosecute his case. He could have gone ahead without using without adopting Dele Farotimi. So when he's agreeing, he has a right to go to court. Using the police for stopping his stay because the Lagos State is come not to do it. Do it the right way. You are a senior advocate yourself. You shouldn't break the law. You're trying to defend yourself.
Very true.
Okay, Jumoke, I wanted to ask, looking at the way Afebolola is reacting, won't Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians are saying maybe there's an atom of truth in what he said, because at this point, the way he's being agitated about it and maybe covering it up with the word defamation.
So, I would quickly say that there's no smoke without fire, right? And Dele Farotimi, being a lawyer himself, right, knows what he's saying. I mean, we've seen it happen over and over again. It's not, if you remember, during the Buhari regime, judges' houses were broken into at midnight, claiming that they were corrupt. It's not the first time that we're hearing that there are things happening in our judicial system. We're just saying that if it is not true, if it is true, then he's wasting his case.
Definitely.
All of this hoopla. Because now everybody wants to read Dele's book. People would have ignored the book before.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it is true that he was defamed. And there's a criminal, because the offense was complete, because Dele lives and works in Lagos. It's not from the It's a simple matter. You're supposed to, worst case, just find them. Well, there's a criminal angle to defamation. Let us even say that it is proven. And Mr. Badinago has already mentioned that Afebolola is not a government official. He's not in office. So how can it be criminal that someone said something against you? Unless people say they lied against you, as you have destroyed the Supreme Court, and it's not true. You should file a case in court and defend your name. Or with all the government instruments. Nigerian prisoners look like houseboys. I'm picking up. On the civil matter, then you adopt him, slapped his staff with their phones. You're defending yourself against one crime and committing several other crimes. Come back.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Most definitely, it is believed that the nonagenarian, would have known better. But let's see how that works. Though it's a developing story. From now to the 10th, we would hear more. Most definitely. But let's get to the Guardian newspaper for today, and we have Akpabio counters Barrow insists a tax bill on course despite opposition.
Okay, moving on, we have still on the Guardian newspaper, politics, corruption, bane of education in Nigeria, says TET Fund boss.
And also we have on the bottom strip here, Nigeria's budget under threat as OPEC extends the production court. Okay,
still on the bottom strip we have federal government opens probe panel as fire guts municipal warehouse and power twos.
And also we have a disturbing one here. Detained Okwama president died in military facility. That's very sad.
Very sad. Now let's look at our main topic of discussion, and it's a National Health and Demography Survey. And this particular story is on page 4 and 5. And you have spike in teenage pregnancy stirs dire public health social consent. Olajumoke, let me start with you. And at this point where we have the high number of out-of-school children in this time and age, and looking at the current state as things are going when it comes to the economy, what are we now going to say come 2025 to 2027, and now we are having spike in teenage pregnancy? Who is to be held responsible? Is it the parents not actually giving their children enough sexual education, or the economy and the way things are in the society have actually influenced it and actually made children vulnerable to some things, thereby exposing them to this particular situation?
You cannot hold the economy responsible. It's not a person. You hold the entire society responsible. And parents have a role to play in this, in the sense that do not have more children than you can cater for. Nigeria's current statistics has it that we have 20.2 million out-of-school children between the ages of 6 and 14. And that's the whole country. That's 10% of our population. A majority of those are from the north. It would interest you to know that Southerners are joining the statistics because the current economic reality of the country, where food inflation, and hyperinflation has made it almost impossible for a lot of people to feed themselves. Mr. Madnago and I yesterday were discussing a comment by a doctor online that some parents feed their children salt and water in lieu of food. That's abject poverty. Salt and water is only going to damage your liver, damage your organs, damage your kidneys. It's not food, that's not nutrition. But in lieu, when you do not have. So yes, we would say have as much children as you can cater for. But if you had a child or 2 children 2 years ago and you could cater for them, in 2024 you may not be able to feed them and send them to school. Because our poverty, we became the poverty capital of the world under the Buhari regime. That has quadrupled because just last year, $1 was 600 to 700 naira officially. It's now 1,750, looking and smiling at 2,000 naira to the dollar. That's hyperinflation because majority of the things that we consume are imported. We're borrowing in dollars, paying back in naira. Our loans are quadrupled because naira is every day devalued. Coming to the main issue of teenage pregnancy. If the parents are these looking for survival, hustling, chasing after money to take care of their children, it may not surprise any one of us to find out that there's some parents who now even push out their children, sell them, to richer people. Just with me, a tribe where the culture is to support their, to fend for the entire family. So teenage pregnancy will only double because a lot of young girls whose parents can no longer feed them are now looking for survival by looking at men and saying, okay, if it is exchange of sex, what is my life anyway if I cannot feed and I die? But I would have assumed that we had enough sexual education, so if you're going to even involve in sex, to protect yourself. But when you're out of school, when you're illiterate, when you're uneducated, you do not even know the repercussions, no consequences of the thing that you are doing.
Thank you so much.
And then somebody says, oh my goodness, what has happened to us?
Yes.
So the entire society is to blame. The government that is supposed to be of the people, for the people, when we use taxes and revenue, patrimony of the people to create infrastructure, ensure that there is good health care, ensure that there is good education. When we do not have that, when we have thieves as leaders who are stealing our patrimony and own family members to the detriment of the larger population, you will find that even though you assumed you could marry and cater for one child, you find yourself in extreme and you can no longer cater for the child, and so you're trying your best. For instance, you're a farmer in the north. Your family's business for over 100 years is farming. But now your farmland has been taken over by terrorists. How for not trying to work to cater for your family? You must blame the government for the insecurity that has put you out of job.
Very sure.
We must blame the government. We must blame the government for not providing free education. At least basic education. And it's in our constitution.
All right, thank you.
Every Nigerian child has a right to free basic education.
Yes.
So it's the government's fault, it's also the parents' fault. This society at large, we have to look at ourselves.
Thank you so much,
be honest
Moke.
with one another.
Yes, all right, thank you. Emeka, just before we wind up for today, I'd love you to take a jab on this particular issue, especially with concerns to the proliferation of the get-rich and quick syndrome, which of course has eaten deep into the lives of teenagers in Nigeria, particularly those in the secondary school. And of course, while you discuss that, I'd love you to add this to it too. 2027, Jonathan's campaign posters flood the Kano. Please.
Yeah, just a quick one. Yeah. Well, Jumoke has summarized everything, but I'll just add the fact that people need to be more responsible for their actions. They should know that actions have consequences, So the more children you have, the more work you have to do to take care of them. So it doesn't detract from your fecundity, it doesn't reduce your prowess as a man or a woman, But you have to know that where the prowess will really be needed is not on the bed, but on the streets. The daily grind will be very hard, So people should think very well. A lot of parents leave their children, all by themselves, without supervision, without much supervision. They leave early in the morning, come back in the evening, A lot of societal norms have broken down. And so, you see strange behaviors these days. People you think are old enough to, should be old enough to know how to protect children. They are predators. You are predators, like they say, fools grow old too. So the point is that, parents should know that the basic unit is the family. That is where charity begins at home, and everything must start from the family. Take care of your children, no matter how busy you are. You know, I got to a point in my life, I just sat my wife down. I said, listen, this one, every morning, we just have to both of us take off in the morning, you know, go far away for our jobs. I said, we've got to have a look at it. Okay, since I already have a business, you know, running, I can run my business from anywhere. I'll quit my job. You are, you have a steady job. You'll be doing your job. I'll quit my job, have more time for children, do my business from home. And that has worked for us because we got to a point and said, no, we were tired of these domestic helps and their drama. We were just tired. So after we just safely shift the last one, you know, she ran away. I think she ran away. Eventually, you know, we tracked through the police and she got back to her parents. We said, thank God, that was all. So, and then it has worked out for us. Our children have grown up independently, you know. So these sacrifices will be necessary. Then, to the Jonathan's matter, you know, somebody was saying yesterday, you know, making a joke that the same Jonathan that the North rose against, did everything to blackmail him, is the same Jonathan they are now remembering now, oh, with nostalgia. You know that, but Jonathan was a good man, oh. Under Jonathan, we're buying a bag of rice for between 6,000 and 8,000. Under Jonathan, fuel was how much? Under Jonathan, you know, fuel was 97 naira. Under Jonathan, Jonathan built schools for Amajiri. Under Jonathan, blah, 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 this and that and the other. You know, now they are remembering. You see, when you embark on crucify him, think. There is no good politician anywhere in the whole world. There's no good politician anywhere in the whole world. Look at the allegations of corruption emanating from Donald Trump's camp about how the U.S. government has been run for years. You know, so you can imagine the United States of all places. But that is to tell you that, look, some people feel that, okay, they can drag Jonathan into the fray. Remember last year too, the same thing happened, you know. So when you look back, Jonathan was just a gentle leader who didn't want to use power as crudely as his successor Buhari and the man on the seat right now, Bola Tinubu. But all in all, you know, it shows that the journey to 2027 is interesting. It's going to be interesting. Yes, it's going to be interesting.
Thank you so much.
All right. I would love us to maybe round up on that. Jumoke, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. 30 seconds, please.
No, nothing at all.
Okay, beautiful. Fine. All right. I think it's balanced now. Thank you so very much, Jumoke, for being part of our show today. We truly do appreciate you. Emeka Madnago, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And just to let you know that they will be here to take us on our main conversation today also. Yes.
And when we return, tax reform agenda processing or progressing, Akpabio reaffirms legislative resolve. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.